Some people start their week with coffee. Ale starts hers with ghosts, mysteries, and things that go bump in the night. Welcome to Macabre Mondays, the podcast where mysteries meet the macabre. Join Alejandra, a lifelong storyteller with a passion for the strange and spooky, as she shares chilling tales with her husband Tom, who's hearing them for the very first time. It's part marriage, part mayhem, and all mystery. Your weekly escape into haunted history, unsolved oddities, and the darker corners of life. New episodes drop every Monday, so ditch the morning blues and press play on something a little more macabre. Listen to Macabre Mondays wherever you get your podcasts. Canadian Creepies is recorded on the traditional lands of the Haudenosaunee and Anishinaabe peoples, under the Dish with One Spoon Wampum Agreement. These lands and waters have been cared for since long before Canada existed, and they remain deeply important to Indigenous communities today. As we tell stories about darkness, injustice, and memory, I want to acknowledge the very real histories of colonization, violence, and erasure that Indigenous peoples continue to endure. A land acknowledgement can't undo that harm, but it is a reminder to keep listening, learning, and supporting in truth and reconciliation in meaningful ways. We share these stories not to forget, but to shine light, always with respect for peoples and nations whose land we live on. Canadian Creepies covers true crime, dark history, and disturbing events. Some episodes may include graphic descriptions or sensitive subject matter. We do our best to handle every story with care and respect for those affected. That said, we sometimes use humor and sarcasm as a way to process heavy content, never to disrespect victims, survivors, or their families. Listener discretion is advised. He entered prison at 17. He walked out a grown man, and in the years between, his name became one of the most haunting symbols of injustice in Canadian history. This is the story of David Milgaard, a young man wrongfully convicted, a family who refused to give up, and the legacy of a case so tragic it echoed all the way into one of Canada's most iconic songs. Ooh, I'm not going to say what song it is yet, but I'm sure a lot of people can guess by the lyric that I've named the episode after.
And if you don't, well, you'll listen. You'll find out.
You'll find out. How you doing?
I'm good. How are you doing?
I'm good. We got a new kitten. His name is Arrow.
He's freaking adorable.
He's so cute. We love him. He's jumping around somewhere.
Crazy.
And Amanda's doing well with Tato, the dog.
Yeah, he's definitely more adjusted this week.
That's good.
Actually going to the bathroom outside for me now, so.
We love that.
We do love that. I am so tired of cleaning up animal poop between the cats and him.
Right? It's like, okay.
Yeah. Zoo.
Should we just jump into it?
I'm ready if you are.
Okay. So we're talking about, before I read anything scripted, so we're talking about David Milgaard today, which is a very, along the lines of like the Guy Paul Moran case. Mm-hmm. But we're going to see about that. So let's talk about who David Milgaard was. He was born on July 7th, 1952 in Winnipeg, Manitoba.
I love me a fellow Cancer.
Shout out to Winnipeg. Go Jets. He was raised in Winnipeg by his parents, Lorne Milgaard and Joyce Milgaard, and he was one of 4 children. His mother, Joyce, would later become known nationally for her decades-long advocacy to prove David's innocence. By the late 1960s, David was a teenager growing up in the counterculture era. At the time of his arrest, he was described in public police records as a 16-year-old hippie.
Same.
Love that. And that reflected his appearance and the youth culture of the period. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit as well. In January of 1969, he and 2 of his friends, Ron Wilson and John Nickel, looks like it's backwards for some reason. Ron Wilson and John Nickel were traveling across Canada with David Milgaard and staying with acquaintances and hitchhiking between cities, which was very common to hitchhike then.
Extremely. My mom's like, I used to travel with a screwdriver in my pocket. I was like, Mom.
Right on. Love that. On January 27th, 1969, 20-year-old nursing assistant Gail Miller was found raped and murdered in Saskatoon, Saskatchewan. Milgaard was arrested later that year and charged with her rape and murder. On January 31st, 1970, at age 17, he was convicted of non-capital murder and sentenced to life in prison. That's fucked. He was 17 and convicted. Right? That's messed up. That's honestly messed up. The evidence used against him at the time included a testimony from acquaintances who had initially provided an alibi but later recanted under pressure. So bogus questioning by the police. Understood.
That was happening even now.
Yeah, like coercion and yeah.
They act so quick to close cases. Like I read this study that we now have like a higher unsolved murder rate than we did back during this time. And one of the things is, well, one, there's more crime happening. They're bogged down by all, like you'd think with digital era, it'd be easier because there'd be more of a trail, but it's so much stuff to go through now that it kind of backlogs everything. And then the other thing is there's less, even though it still happens, police coercion because they were like, gotta close the case back then and just like throw the book at anybody to try and solve situations. Yeah. Regardless if it was, just or not.
Yeah. They were like, let's just close this.
Yeah. I can't be bothered.
So frustrating. There is no... Okay, sorry. And statements from a police informant whose testimony also implicated Milgaard. From a CI? Come on. How reliable is that?
How do you have a murder CI?
Yeah, honestly.
Like, I can understand like a drug CI because it's an ongoing...
Somebody just knows who's murdered everyone.
Right? Like...
Always. I just know.
I'm sorry. I mean, they still do use psychics.
Yeah, I mean, that's true. There is no publicly documented detailed account of Milgaard's early childhood personality, schooling experience, or hobbies beyond the facts that I've pulled here. Okay, so let's talk about Winnipeg in the 1960s.
Oh boy.
Yeah. So Winnipeg in the 1960s was experiencing suburban expansion, with families moving out of the city core into growing neighborhoods like St. James, Charleswood, and Transcona. The population was becoming increasingly diverse through post-war immigration, particularly from Europe and the UK. The city was transitioning from a railway-centered economy to a broader mix of manufacturing services and public sector jobs. Winnipeg's economy in this era was mixed. It had steady growth, but it was punctuated by periods of unemployment and labor unrest, which was pretty par for the course around Canada. This city had a strong working class identity shaped by its prairie labor history and industries tied to transportation, grain markets, and manufacturing. The 1960s saw social tensions rise around poverty, Indigenous rights, and inequality, issues that were becoming more publicly discussed. Winnipeg was also heavily influenced by a growing counterculture movement. Hitchhiking culture, communal living among people. Watch out.
When I'm old, I'm so going to have like a community. Like,
yeah, we're going to live in a community.
That's have like chickens and goats and beehives.
That's right. That's right.
Yeah, I love it.
And Winnipeg also, the growing counterculture movement also increased in experimentation with fashion, music, and lifestyle. Oh no. Local youth embraced. Sorry, the kitten just climbed up the back of the speaker and is...
I just don't want him to knock over that.
He'll be fine. Local youth embraced the hippie subculture, which centered around music, travel, and social rebellion. But social rebellion being like things that we probably just take for granted now, creating friction with older generations and authorities. The city's emerging music scene in the late 1960s would give rise to major acts in the 1970s, like the Guess Who, and that was reflecting the cultural energy of the era. Winnipeg had sharp contrasts between neighborhoods. It had comfortable middle-class suburbs, struggling inner-city areas facing poverty and housing deterioration. And these contrasts shaped policing, youth experiences, and community dynamics. In the 1960s, in Winnipeg, were marked by tougher policing of youth, hitchhikers, and counterculture groups. So everything that they were like, stop doing this.
What's that song about kids? What's the matter with kids these days?
Yeah.
That's exactly what this reminds me of.
Yes, yeah. Suspicion of teenagers associated with the hippie movement was common, influencing how young people were perceived by authorities. And lastly, the weather. Winnipeg's famous winters were and still are extremely harsh, with deep cold, heavy snow, and long periods of darkness. These conditions contributed to dangerous winter environments, which shaped both public safety concerns and physical vulnerability for anyone outside in the winter months.
And that's fun.
So that was going on in Winnipeg in the 1960s.
Happy, joy.
Or lack thereof.
Right? All right, let's talk about the actual crime and the conviction. On the morning of January 27th in 1969, Gail Miller, a 20-year-old nursing assistant, was found raped and murdered on a snowbank in Saskatoon Alley during a severe winter cold snap. She was discovered partially clothed and stabbed multiple times.
Jeez Louise.
At the same time, 16-year-old David Milgaard was traveling across Canada.
That's hectic to think a 16-year-old did that.
Right?
Like this random 16-year-old who's hitchhiking. That's hectic. Keep going, though. Sorry. We're going to get into it.
It's
hectic.
TikTok right now, just some of the crimes that I have seen done by, like, this kitten is crazy.
He's getting into everything. He just went into the cajon, a.k.a. a drum box.
He's going to dance on the piano.
He's exploring everything. Okay.
Anyways, I digress. So he was traveling across Canada with his friends Ron Wilson and is it John Nichols or Nickel John?
I think it's John Nickel.
We'll just call him John.
We'll call him John.
It goes either way.
Ron and John.
Ron and John.
That's what we're going with.
They passed through Saskatoon on the day of the murder. The police began...
They're like, that's enough for me.
Right? You were in
16,
city.
hitchhiking, murderer.
You got a t-shirt on, fashion. That's it.
Yeah. Your hair is long? Ugh.
Police began to look at people who had been in the area that morning. Milgaard and his companions came to their attention because they were young, transient, and staying with an acquaintance in Saskatoon.
Holy.
Oh, no, you have a friend.
Oh, how dare you have a friend in another province?
Uh-oh. A key early lead came from Albert Cadrain. Cadrain?
Yep.
Cadrain, yeah. An acquaintance with whom Milgaard and his friends were staying with in Saskatoon. Cadrain later told police that he had seen what he believed was blood on Milgaard's clothing the morning of the murder. This claim became a central piece of evidence directing the investigation towards Milgaard. But, like, did they ever find said shirt with blood?
No.
No. The police also repeatedly questioned Milgaard's traveling companions, Ron and John.
It's like Werner Gerner.
Yeah.
Werner Gerner.
Oh. Initially, they gave Milgaard an alibi, saying that he had not been out alone in circumstances that matched the crime. But
So they were like, there's no way he did this.
yeah,
Frig off.
We were with him the whole time.
Yeah, there's no friggin' way.
After persistent police pressure and polygraph testing, both changed their stories and gave statements that placed Milgaard closer to the crime in time and space. Based on these statements, Milgaard was arrested later in 1969 and charged with the rape and murder of Gail Miller.
Ugh, I hate that.
Like, you have nothing to go on.
David Milgaard, if you're listening, I'm so sorry you went through this.
How did your lawyer not tear this apart?
Well, it was the 60s.
Yeah, that's
he probably couldn't afford a lawyer.
And he had long hair.
Yeah, and he had long hair.
And a friend in Saskatoon.
And he had friends with names that rhymed.
Dr. Seuss was definitely
they were pissed.
Red flag.
Yeah.
His case went to trial in Saskatoon, and the prosecution's case rested heavily on the testimony of Cadron about the alleged blood on Milgaard's clothing and the revised statements from John and Ron, which undermined his original alibi, and then the absence of a stronger alternative suspect presented to the jury.
Right.
Great. We have nobody else, so it's
got to be the 16-year-old kid. I'm sure there was other suspects they could have looked into. They just literally chose not to.
Because they couldn't be bothered.
Yeah,
they
exactly.
had the guy.
They were too busy.
And they were like, yep, this is it.
They've got the
need
kid.
To do anything else.
He hitchhiked here. You don't understand.
Specifically with the sole intent of this random woman he's never met.
Yeah, he had to kill her. He hates nurses. At 16.
He didn't bother to, do this to anybody.
No, he hates nurses' assistants, specifically.
That only live in Saskatoon.
Yeah.
Very, very, very niche target.
Yeah.
That's it. Logic, there's none. There was no physical evidence, such as reliable forensic or DNA linked proof, which would be blood on the clothing that was supposedly there, that tied Milgaard directly to the crime scene at the time of the trial. This cat is...
Say meow into the mic.
Hilarious. Forensic science in 1969 was far more limited than it would be decades later. On January 31st, 1970, at the age of 17, after a jury trial, David Milgaard was found guilty of non-capital murder and the death.
Hate that.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Of Gail Miller, and was sentenced to life in prison. His appeal to the Saskatchewan Court Appeal in 1971 was dismissed. In the same year, the Supreme Court of Canada declined to hear his case, effectively leaving the conviction in place.
No, we're not going to hear it. He's 17 or 18.
Right?
He's a child.
He's a kid.
His frontal lobe's not even fully developed yet.
But you know what's really funny is right now in the media, if you're a 17-year-old woman, you're a woman.
Yeah, you're a woman.
Right?
Yeah. It's not true. That 17-year-old woman is called a girl, a child.
She's a baby.
Even if they say they're not, it's not up to them.
No. Your frontal cortex.
Your brain's not fucking developed. And it's not your fault. And you know what? I was there with you. I thought I was a woman too. I was not. I was a baby.
You haven't had the life experiences required to match where these men should be in life.
Exactly.
Yes. The murder of a young nursing assistant in Saskatoon obviously shocked the public.
Yeah.
Coverage in the press portrayed the crime as a brutal, random attack during a winter morning in an ordinary residential area. Once Milgaard was arrested and convicted, his conviction was largely accepted by the public and the media at the time, in line with the broader pattern in the 1960s of a strong deference to police investigations and jury verdicts. There was little mainstream media skepticism early on about the reliability of the recanted alibis or the absence of any physical evidence, compared to the scrutiny that would be applied decades later.
Wow.
I can hear your animals going nuts right now. At 17 years old, Milgaard entered the federal prison system with a life sentence, effectively losing his late teens, 20s, and most of his 30s behind bars. He spent a total of 23 years in prison before his conviction was eventually set aside.
That's so long. That's his whole early adulthood.
Yeah. Over those decades, he experienced the harsh conditions, violence, and psychological strain associated with long-term incarceration.
Yeah, because that's not easy.
Especially if you didn't do it.
Yeah.
That's hard for anybody, but if you legitimately are innocent, that's brutal. Reports and later interviews describe periods of depression, hopelessness, and severe emotional distress, including suicide attempts. As he struggled with the reality of being imprisoned for a crime he insisted he did not commit.
Right? And how do you hear like stuff of people talking about how they like, when somebody gaslights you, you do start questioning your own reality. So he was probably like, did I do this? And I just like don't remember. So to stay strong like that for so many years, that must have been tough. When everybody around you is saying you did it. And
like your friends.
Yeah.
You're like, I remember being with you guys.
Yeah. Were we not there? Yeah.
Did I hallucinate that?
Yeah.
Was the LSD I took that day too hard? Like,
did I even take LSD that day?
What was going on?
Yeah.
Socially, the conviction branded him as a convicted murderer.
Oh yeah.
It severed the possibility of a normal adolescence and early adulthood.
Yeah.
And it impacted his relationship with the outside world, limiting education, work, and social connections to the confines of prison life. Outside of prison, his mother, Joyce, and family became increasingly vocal over the years, but for a long time, their push to reopen the case was treated with skepticism by officials, adding another layer of isolation to his experience.
Yeah, so they wouldn't even let him, like, reopen the case at all.
Yeah, like, you couldn't even fight for your innocence.
Yeah.
Which I think we see a lot more of now.
Yeah. Okay, so let's get into his years behind bars and the campaign for justice for David.
This is going to get more heavy than rape and murder.
Yes, yeah. After his conviction in 1970, David Milgaard spent 23 years in prison for the murder of Gail Miller. He was incarcerated in multiple Canadian penitentiaries, including time in Stony Mountain Institution and other federal prisons. Over the course of his imprisonment, Milgaard experienced physical violence and assaults from other inmates. Well, especially if it was public knowledge that he was in there for raping someone.
Yeah.
I feel like
it's like if you've hurt kids.
Yeah, exactly. He also had extended periods in segregation and solitary, which contributed to severe psychological distress. Yeah, because you're not meant to be isolated.
No.
And suicide attempts, including at least one widely reported incident where he tried to end his life due to despair over his situation, which I can totally empathize with. That's
especially with a life sentence, and you're like, you didn't do it.
You're just like, this is forever. 16.
This
you're
is
like,
forever.
I'm just stuck here. You would lose faith. Like, what would you? Oh, the despair. I can't even.
Hopelessness doesn't even begin to describe.
No. He maintained. I had to burp, sorry.
I love it.
He maintained his innocence consistently throughout his imprisonment, refusing to confess to the crime, even when doing so might have improved his chances of parole. Because that's messed up. You can say, well, because if you didn't do it and you stick to that, then your chances of parole, because you...
Yeah.
It's so messed up. It's hard to put into words.
It's like
it's so backwards.
They want you to take responsibility because that shows like you are, I guess, more mentally stable to be released or something to that effect.
Yeah.
Bizarre. Like I get it, but also I don't.
Exactly.
Yeah.
His incarceration meant he lost essentially all of his late teens, 20s, and most of his 30s behind bars, missing the chance to build a typical adult life with education, a career, relationships, and community ties. Like, think about you yourself, listener. I guess I don't know how old you are, but wherever you're at in your life, think about all the people around you and all the ties you have from your day-to-day routine. Like, even think people that you don't even think that you're interacting with, like from the corner store person, from the store that you frequent, the Tim Hortons you frequent, whatever. These are all little interactions that you're building within your community as well.
There was a conversation I had with a former friend about, I forget which one of the Manson girls had been released. I want to say Leslie Van Houten.
I feel like that makes sense.
And she had been imprisoned for 60 years. And I'm just like, what would you do with yourself? Like, think of all the changes that has happened in our lifetime.
Yeah.
Like, we saw the dawn of Google.
Yeah, right? Our generation has seen the most advancement of technology in our lifetime.
Like, we're
millennials, by the way.
In case you couldn't tell.
If you fucking harp on millennials, you're not welcome here.
There's the door.
Get out. Bye.
But yeah, like, we had dial-up. We had no internet, dial-up internet, and now it's on our phones.
Yeah.
So could you imagine
desktop computers,
right? You go into prison with none of that and come out, and the world has been reshaped by technology.
Landline phones,
right? Like that would be so
such a culture
jarring.
shock.
Yeah. I can only imagine like 23 years behind prison, coming out and being like, okay, this is what life is like now. Good luck.
Where do I start?
Right? Oh, very overwhelming.
Yeah. The most prominent and persistent advocate for David Milgaard was his mother, Joyce. And she became one of Canada's best known voices against wrongful convictions.
We love you, Joyce.
We love you, Joyce. Joyce, and may she rest in peace. Joyce spent decades lobbying politicians, and she just believed died of just natural causes as well. This isn't about her death. I was just wanted everyone to know that she is no longer with us and paying my respects.
Details.
Yes. The most prominent and Joyce spent decades lobbying politicians, lawyers, and journalists, insisting that her son was innocent and that the justice system had failed him. Because what else would you do?
Yeah.
I feel like I have goosebumps talking about that. I feel that. What else would you do for your son? Like, how could you stop? She developed alliances with civil liberties groups and wrongful conviction advocates, including lawyers who later became central to his legal fight. Amazing.
Good.
Go off, queen.
Right? She's G.
If anybody is doing a school project, Joyce Milgaard. 10 out of 10 queen.
Right?
A Canadian icon. Truly.
Like, forget Hillary Clinton. Quinton.
Yeah. And she's American. It's like, forget Roberta Bondar.
That was a great botch on my end. I love
Quinton.
that.
Forget Hillary Quinton.
Fell up to speech impediment all of a sudden. I don't know where that came from.
In the late 1980s and early 1990s, Milgaard's case caught the attention of federal politicians and national media, in part due to Joyce's unwavering campaign. So probably as well because it was Winnipeg. It's a smaller jurisdiction. Is that the right word? Whatever. Smaller region. And I don't mean to say whatever and be flippant of my
municipal. Maybe.
I don't know. Because we're the regional municipality of Niagara.
Yeah.
So, I guess it's the municipality of Winnipeg. If
you
it's
guys
smaller
know,
than Niagara, we don't know.
Let us know. I'm not good at geography. It's not my strong suit.
Let me just do a quick Google. How big is Winnipeg compared to the Niagara region? Now, if anybody could see what I just typed in there, that's not it, but my phone's going to pick that up. Okay, I'm an idiot. Winnipeg is much larger in terms of population, with a metropolitan population of over 834,000, while the Niagara region has a population of around 430,000, so double.
So it's a metropolitan?
Yeah. In terms of land area, the Niagara region is significantly smaller. At approximately 715 square miles or 1,852 square kilometers. Whereas the city of Winnipeg is a larger city, but it's difficult to find an exact comparable figure for its total land area. So Winnipeg's way bigger. It just wouldn't have caught national attention because I think a lot of our national attention falls to Toronto.
Yeah.
And Southern Ontario and Ottawa. Yeah.
Or BC.
Thank you. Sorry, BC. Didn't mean to leave you out. And, if you want something done, you should always trust a French Canadian.
Got
it in there.
When we do get sustainable merch, that's going to be one of our
sustainable merch. I hadn't even thought about that.
Sustainable merch.
Or like a patch that maybe Back from the Dead can.
Ooh.
Shout
out to Back from the Dead.
Back from the Dead, yeah. Back from the Dead goods. Use code Canadian Creepies for 10% off. Okay, so in this case would eventually involve Innocence Canada. They were then known as AIDWYC, or the Association in Defense of the Wrongfully Convicted. Now, Innocence Canada is a much better name.
Way better.
Yeah.
That other one is a mouthful that I won't remember.
Yes, and lawyers working specifically on miscarriages of justice. In the late 1980s, questions about Milgaard's conviction began to surface more publicly, with investigative journalists and advocates pointing to weaknesses in the original case, especially the reliance on pressured, coerced. A critical development came when information emerged about another man.
You did suggest that earlier.
His name is Larry Fisher. Now, Larry Fisher was a serial sex offender who had lived in the same Saskatoon neighborhood where Gail Murder was killed, and who had a pattern of violent assaults on women. Are you fucking kidding?
But the transient guy who just arrived in town,
but the 16-year-old
who had a friend.
Yeah, the 16-year-old did it.
And he's a hippie, so, you know.
Violent, those hippies.
Fucking peace-loving.
Peace-loving. Fisher's history and proximity to the crime scene led advocates to argue that he was a more plausible suspect than Milgaard. Yeah, I'd say so. I'd say so.
What was your first clue?
And like, as a man, it'd be nice just for men in the law enforcement, if it's okay to make a mistake. It is okay to make a mistake. Just say, hey, I fucked up. And you know what? If you get fired for that, though, police work is not for you. And that's okay. You're also allowed to change your career.
You're allowed to evolve.
You're allowed to evolve. And you're allowed to go, hey, maybe I'm not so good at this.
Or reinvent yourself.
Reinvent yourself. You know, just fall on. Anyway.
We digress.
Here we go. Throughout the late 1980s and early 1990s, lawyers for Milgaard pushed for a review under the extraordinary remedy provisions of the criminal code that allowed the federal minister of justice to refer potential miscarriages of justice back to the courts. Woo, that was a mouthful.
I'm glad you read that.
In 1991. So basically, in layman's terms, what I just said, they managed to get it to the top of something. They managed to get his case heard again by talking to the right people. Is that fair?
You. Yeah, you. Still haunting the same old fast fashion? Time to dig up something better with Back from the Dead Goods, a Canadian small business where forgotten threads get a second life and sustainability meets spooky. This isn't just upcycled clothing. It's resurrected fashion with an eerie edge. Handpicked, reworked, and revived, every piece is as unique as a ghost story whispered at midnight. And because you're a part of the Canadian Creepies family, you get an exclusive deal. Use code Canadian Creepies at checkout for 10% off. Find them lurking on Instagram, Etsy, and Poshmark. Links are in the episode description. Give your wardrobe a second chance at life, if you dare. Hey creeps, it's Valerie here, and if you're anything like us, you love capturing a moment, whether it's spooky, sweet, or somewhere delightfully in between. Let me introduce you to our go-to for stunning shots, darkroom photography, based right here in the heart of the Niagara region. Mel, the brilliant eye behind the lens, is a lifestyle and creative photographer who brings a little bit of magic and maybe a touch of mystery to every session. She's got all her prices listed right on her website, super transparent, no tricks, and she runs killer seasonal specials around Mother's Day, Halloween, Christmas, and more. I'm telling you, her Halloween sessions, creepy perfection. So, if you're in the Niagara area and looking to capture memories that are hauntingly beautiful, hit up Mel at mel@darkroomphotography.ca or check out her work at www.darkroomphotography.ca. That's Darkroom Photography, where your memories come to life, even in the dark. Support reproductive justice in Niagara. Niagara Reproductive Justice is a grassroots collective based in the Niagara region of Ontario, working to increase visibility and access to sexual and reproductive health care.
They support people seeking abortion and other essential care by offering transportation, financial assistance, logistical help, and emotional support. Here's how you can help. You can make a one-time donation. Send an e-transfer to niagarareproductivejustice@gmail.com. Your support helps cover costs like gas for volunteer drivers, overnight stays, childcare, and other urgent needs. You can also support monthly via Patreon. Join their Patreon and support the cause month to month. It's patreon.com/Niagara Reproductive Justice. And you can volunteer your time. NRJ is always looking for volunteers to help with driving, outreach, admin support, and community organizing. If you're looking to make a real impact in the Niagara region, this is a great place to start. Contact them via email or DM them on Instagram or Facebook to learn more. You can find them on Instagram at Niagara Reproductive Justice and on Facebook at Niagara Reproductive Justice. Help amplify access to reproductive care right here in our own backyard. Whether you donate, volunteer, or spread the word, you're a part of the movement.
Looking for your next obsession? The Creators Collective Podcasts is your gateway to the dark, the chilling, and the downright fascinating. We're a community of independent podcasts with one goal: to share the best in true crime, paranormal tales, folklore, and unexplained mysteries. Whether you crave cold cases that won't stay closed, haunted histories that refuse to be forgotten, or stories that make you sleep with the lights on, there's a show waiting for you in the collective. And when you join us, you're not just listening to one podcast. You're stepping into a world of creators who love this stuff as much as you do. Check out the Creators Collective today. Follow the link in our show notes to discover your next favorite podcast. We'll be waiting for you.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yes.
Sorry, I accidentally exited out, which was... Sorry. What's that? What page? I was on 4, wasn't I?
Yes, you were on 4. I believe the second page, halfway down, third down.
Okay, I was just going. I was panicking and not reading anything and going, where is it? In 1991, right?
Yes.
Okay. In 1991, the case gained national attention when it was featured on CBC's investigative program, The Fifth Estate, raising public awareness and pressure to revisit the conviction. Here we go. Now we're cooking. Now we're cooking with mustard.
I like that.
Yeah. In 1992, after extensive advocacy, the Federal Minister of Justice ordered a reference to the Supreme Court of Canada, asking it to consider whether there had been a miscarriage of justice in the case. Imagine the Supreme Court's like, no.
Let me think.
The Supreme Court of Canada, in a 1992 decision, concluded that while it could not pronounce outright innocence, the conviction was no longer safe and that a new trial should be ordered, or the Attorney General could instead enter a stay of proceedings.
So, long story short, maybe we messed up.
Maybe we
made a mistake.
Following this decision, the Saskatchewan government chose not to retry Milgaard and instead issued a stay of proceedings.
Do you think maybe they were embarrassed by the first proceeding?
Yeah. He was released from prison in April 1992 after spending roughly 23 years behind bars. My goodness. Although Milgaard was released in 1992, he was not formally exonerated at that time. The case remained unsolved as to legal guilt or innocence.
Like
legal guilt.
And just...
Oh, wait, no. Innocence. He was innocent.
Yeah.
I meant like legal guilt, like the legal system was guilty. Mm-hmm. I took that sentence literally.
And like, not just like what he went through, but like Gail Miller's family. Like, this guy's been, like, they arrest this guy, tell the family, hey,
We got him.
And
it was this 16-year-old punk who did it.
And he's like, no, it wasn't me for years. So every time he goes before people and is like, hey, can we re-look at my case? I'm innocent. They're probably informed and are like, oh, great, got to relive this all over again.
Yeah.
Then they come back and are like, he's being released from prison. We don't know who actually killed your daughter. Like, what this family must have been going through as well, because justice wasn't served to them either.
Yeah,
like that's
exactly.
heartbreaking.
It's brutal. In the mid-1990s, DNA testing became advanced enough to re-examine biological evidence from old cases. In Milgaard's case, preserved evidence from the Gail Miller investigation was identified for potential testing. Wow, the fact that evidence was preserved for so long, that's wild. The fact that they managed to properly preserve that evidence.
The fact that they didn't lose it.
Yeah, or lose it. Yeah. In 1997, DNA tests were conducted on evidence related to the case. Those tests excluded David Milgaard as the source of the semen found on the victim, and the results instead implicated Larry Fisher as the likely perpetrator, because his DNA would have already been on file from all the other sexual assaults he had committed around that time.
Who would have guessed? Who would have guessed?
Who would have thought it would be Larry Fisher, the guy who probably did it, who had a history of doing it.
And lived down the street from her.
Yeah, and lived and knew where she lived.
They didn't check the pond in the backyard.
Again, we're not checking the pond again. Okay. Following these DNA results, Milgaard was formally exonerated, and the focus of legal proceedings shifted to Fisher. Larry Fisher was later charged, tried, and in 1999 convicted of the 1970 murder of Gail Miller, confirming that Milgaard had been wrongfully convicted.
What a relief for him, though, right? Like
yeah, but then the anger would.
Yeah.
The anger. Who you'd be so mad. You'd be mad at Larry, and of course, and you'd be mad at, because the whole time, if you're innocent, the whole time you're like, I want to know who did it too, because it wasn't me. You know. The critical legal steps in overturning Milgaard's conviction included 1992 Supreme Court of Canada reference, finding the conviction unsafe and recommending a new trial, the stay of proceedings by Saskatchewan authorities, and Milgaard's release from custody in 1992, the 1997 DNA evidence eliminating Milgaard as the assailant, and subsequent official recognition that had been wrongfully convicted. In 1999, after negotiations with federal and Saskatchewan governments, Milgaard received financial compensation for the years he spent wrongfully imprisoned. I mean, that's all you can do at that point. The publicly reported amount was in the multi-million-dollar range, intended to recognize both the time he served and the harm done. His case became one of Canada's most prominent examples of wrongful conviction, frequently cited in discussions of justice system reform, the need for independent review bodies, the dangers of relying on coerced or pressured witness testimony, and the importance of post-conviction review and forensic advances.
You know what a revolutionary idea would be? Maybe don't coerce.
Don't coerce anyone. Don't coerce anyone. Just do police work. Just follow the evidence.
Maybe don't pressure the witnesses.
Fucking, why didn't you knock on doors and find out that Larry Fisher lived around the corner? Why didn't you pull files that were like, are there any convicted sex offenders that live near Gail Miller? Why didn't you start there?
Instead,
you went right to a 16-year-old child? Are you okay?
Murders.
That constable, man, they need to be checked out. Like, checked out in the mind.
You have a murder CI.
Police work was not for them.
I think it was this guy who's new in this area.
It was the kid.
He has long hair, and that makes him suspicious.
Yeah, I hate it. In the years after his exoneration, Milgaard participated in public discussions and advocacy around wrongful convictions, lending his story to efforts to prevent others from enduring what he had. Yeah, good. Good for David. Yeah.
Sorry, big yawn.
It's okay. You got the yawnies today.
It's because it's cold out.
It is cold.
I yawn way more when it's cold. Like if I'm driving somewhere and I'm in the car.
Yeah.
And I'm just like yawning the whole time. John's like, are you good? And I'm like,
yeah,
I'm just cold.
Yeah.
It's my body waking itself up. So after his release, what happened with his personal life and public reputation So Milgaard was released in April of 1992 after the Supreme Court of Canada ruled that his conviction was unsafe. What does that mean, unsafe? Why can't you just say wrong?
Yeah, because they don't. It's legal terms. It's political jargon.
Stupid.
It is stupid.
And a new trial should be ordered. Saskatchewan instead entered a stay, allowing him to walk free for the first time since he was 17.
Wow.
After 23 years behind bar, Milgaard struggled with the psychological and emotional aftermath of wrongful imprisonment. Interviews later described difficulties adjusting to freedom, navigating relationships, and coping with trauma from incarceration.
Right? Because you wouldn't know how to interact. At that point, you spent more of your life in prison than out.
Yeah. Jesus. That's so sad to think of.
So sad.
In the years following his release, Milgaard became increasingly publicly visible, appearing in media interviews as his case continued to move forward towards full exoneration. After DNA evidence in 1997 conclusively excluded him, he was formally recognized as wrongfully convicted, shifting the public perception from uncertainty to strong support. Milgaard dedicated much of his post-release life to advocacy, speaking openly about wrongful convictions and the need for systemic reform.
Yeah, good.
He worked with and supported Innocence Canada and became a volunteer support of creating an independent criminal case review commission.
Sorry, vocal supporter.
Yes, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you. I'm reading ahead of what I'm supposed to be. I'm getting too excited.
You don't have to.
It's all good. Vocal supporter of creating an independent criminal case review commission in Canada. It's funny because as I said that, I was like, that doesn't seem right. Just carry on, march forward.
It's okay to say, because they're just listening, right? So it's okay if it doesn't sound right to just stop and correct yourself. It's for the listeners' enjoyment, really.
We love you, listeners.
Yes.
In later years, Milgaard lived in several provinces and continued to engage with justice reform work until his death in May of 2022 at the age of 69.
Stop. He only lived to be 69?
69. Yeah. How old was he when he got out?
17 plus 23. Hold on.
I'm blonde.
40.
Jesus.
Yeah.
Just had to sit with that for a moment. That's intense.
That's intense.
After negotiations in 1999, David Milgaard received a $10 million in compensation from the Canadian and Saskatchewan governments combined. The compensation recognized 23 years of wrongful imprisonment, loss of income and opportunities, psychological and physical harm endured, and the failure of the justice systems to correct the error sooner. Not for lack of trying on his part.
Yeah, he was trying. And so was Joyce.
Props to Joyce.
Right?
Part of the settlement also included funding for future care, recognizing the long-term trauma associated with his imprisonment.
Yeah.
The Milgaard case became one of the most influential wrongful conviction cases in Canadian history and is often cited alongside other major miscarriages of justice, such as Guy Paul Moran and Donald Marshall Jr.
And we learned it's Guy Paul Moran.
Oh, yes.
Yes.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. It played a significant role in intensifying public and political calls for independent post-conviction review mechanisms, greater scrutiny for police investigations. I mean...
Well, that's just an idea.
90% of the cases we do here.
By the way.
Reform of practices around witness testimonies, especially coerced or pressured statements. I mean... And
yeah, I mean, well, you're just not getting the right guy if you're doing that. You're not getting the right person.
And improved access to DNA testing in older cases. In 2005, the Milgaard Inquiry, also known as the Saskatchewan Commission of Inquiry into the Wrongful Conviction of David Milgaard. That was a mouthful.
They're good at shortening them. I like that's much
right?
better. Yeah.
Way better.
They were like, you know what? This is too long.
Right. This is not going to be the title of our next book.
Roll off the tongue.
They released a comprehensive report examining the failures of the investigation and trial. I don't think you need very comprehensive. It's right there.
Yeah. A lot of failure.
Very clear what you did wrong.
A lot of failure in the investigations of that trial. And the trial.
All of it.
And the investigation of the crime is what I meant to say, not the investigation of the trial. That would make more
sense.
And
afterwards.
But also the investigation of the trial.
How many times did he come forward afterwards and his mom come forward and be like, hey, let's relook at this? And they were like,
can we try again?
Too lazy.
Yeah, no, we're not doing that.
I've got golf.
Yeah, I've got golf.
Some of the inquiry details involved how tunnel vision, improper witness handling, and failure to pressure viable suspects contributed to the wrongful conviction. I mean, he lived down the street.
Sorry, pursue viable suspects.
Oh, sorry. Thank you.
That's okay. Just very different.
I can't read today.
You're doing great.
Thank you. I'm like sorry, the validation.
It's so it makes sense.
I appreciate the validation.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're really doing great. It's a lot of words.
Go local sports team.
Yeah. Kick that ball.
It produced recommendations aimed at preventing similar miscarriages of justice as well. Milgaard himself became one of the strongest voices for establishing an independent criminal case review commission, similar to the model in the UK, arguing that governments should not be gatekeepers of their own errors.
Exactly. They should not be. Just say fucking sorry.
Plain and simple.
Like, everyone makes mistakes. You're human. This is why we don't have robots doing work. This is why you can just say, oops, I made a mistake.
Oops, daisy.
I could have investigated better. Any of those things.
Had you done that earlier,
we wouldn't be here.
Mm-hmm. His case is regularly used in legal education, law school curricula, and policing seminars as foundational examples of systemic failure. The society and cultural impact extended further. Milgaard became a symbol of resilience within Canadian consciousness, and his story was immortalized in pop culture, most famously in the Tragically Hip song, We Kings.
Okay. Now we're getting into the fun stuff.
I was going to say, this is Val's favorite part.
Yeah, it's not fun stuff, but this is why I chose this one. We're tying it together with
My
this.
little musician friend over here.
Yeah. And, Tragically Hip, they're a cornerstone of Canadiana.
Yeah.
Whether you like them or not, they exist. And
they are huge Canadian culture.
And they have a lot of commentary on Canadian culture.
Yeah.
So, how the Tragically Hip came to know Milgaard's story. By the late 1980s, David Milgaard's case was gaining national attention because, remember, the Tragically Hip are Kingston boys. They're Southern Ontario boys. Or Ontario boys. David Milgaard's case was gaining national attention through his mother, Joyce Milgaard's relentless advocacy and investigative journalism, especially coverage by CBC's The Fifth Estate. Members of the Tragically Hip, particularly Gord Downey, were known for engaging deeply with Canadian stories, especially ones involving injustice, marginalized voices, or overlooked histories, which is
We love them.
crazily aligned with what I'm trying to do with this podcast. But also the more known stuff as well. As Milgaard's fight for freedom became more visible, the band learned about the case and its complexities, ultimately choosing to capture its emotional reality in Weak Kings. Weak Kings was released on the album Fully Completely in 1992, the year David Milgaard was released.
Coincidence?
I think not.
I think not.
Now, the song does not name Milgaard, but it centers his story through imagery, tone, and metaphor, pairing prairie landscapes with the heartbreak of a wrongful conviction. Some key lyrical references. 20 years for nothing, well, that's nothing new.
Yeah.
That reflects Milgaard's decades in prison and the broader history of wrongful convictions in Canada.
That's my favorite lyric in that song, referencing this.
Yeah. Mine's no one's interested in something you didn't do. I still like that.
Oh, that is a good
now
one
that
too.
you know,
Yeah.
no one's interested in something you didn't do. Because no one was interested in the fact that he didn't do it. I have goosebumps connecting that. Okay. The next one is Let's Just See What the Morning Brings. That captures the uncertainty, hope, and desperation that defined his family's fight. Wheat Kings and Pretty Things, Let's Just See What Tomorrow Brings, blends prairie imagery with a longing for justice and freedom. Some core themes of the song are injustice and wrongful imprisonment, perseverance and hope, systemic failure and public apathy, the emotional weight carried by victims and their families, prairie identity, and the quiet resilience embedded in Canadian storytelling. Gord Downey used subtle poetic framing, allowing listeners to feel the tragedy without turning Milgaard into a spectacle, a hallmark of hip storytelling. Wow.
Very, very true.
We Kings became one of the band's most enduring songs, resonating deeply with audiences for its emotional honesty and quiet power. Released the same year Milgaard was freed, 1992, the song drew renewed attention to his case and the broader issue of wrongful convictions in Canada. It became a cultural touchstone often cited in journalism about the miscarriages of justice, legal discussions in academic writing, documentaries, and retrospectives on Milgaard. Many Canadians credit the song with shaping their earliest awareness of the case.
Sometimes that's what you need.
Right?
Yeah.
Then this is what art is for, people. Mm-hmm. If you're in a band, keep making music and be political, please. Thank you.
This is why we need to not cut funding for
Artists
art programs.
Ever. David Milgaard later expressed gratitude that Wheat Kings helped humanize his story for the public and shed light on the reality of wrongful imprisonment. Supporters, including activists, lawyers, and family members, describe the story as respectful, compassionate, and emotionally truthful, capturing not only Milgaard's ordeal, but the strain carried by those who fought for him. And after Milgaard's death in 2022, tributes across Canada referenced Wheat Kings as part of his legacy, a reminder of both the tragedy he endured and the cultural shift his story helped spark.
Preach.
Go off, Hip.
So the phenomenon of wrongful convictions in Canada, because Canada has seen multiple documented wrongful convictions, especially between the 1970s and early 2000s, including cases such as Donald Marshall Jr., Guy Paul Moran, Stephen Truscott, Clayton Johnson, and Thomas Sofrono?
Yeah.
I
was going to say Sopono. But it's probably.
Yeah, because it's PH.
Yeah, I
don't know.
My brain.
My brain. Our brains. Many wrongful convictions share common contributing factors: tunnel vision in police investigations, unreliable and coerced witness testimonies, failure to pursue alternative suspects, flawed forensic practices or lack of modern testing, pressure to secure quick convictions, and high-profile cases, which I think contributes to the tunnel vision.
Yes.
Yeah. David Milgaard's case remains one of the most widely recognized examples because he was a teenager when he was wrongfully convicted.
Yeah. Bless you.
Thanks. I felt that one
Oz
coming.
bless you, or David Bowie bless you.
David Bowie.
Okay. Yeah, you choose. Great.
You
Great
choose.
choice.
He served 23 years, one of the longest wrongful imprisonments in Canadian history. The true perpetrator, Larry Fisher, lived near the crime scene and reoffended repeatedly.
And he would have kept reoffending after that.
Right? That's
Like,
even
what the
crazier.
Fuck? You locked up some 16-year-old kid and then left all these women vulnerable.
I'm curious because I know he was convicted of Miller's rape and death, but was he ever convicted for any of the other ones? Like, did he ever serve time for any of the other?
We're going to get there.
Oh,
don't worry.
I'm asking questions to answers she hasn't told us yet.
There's a method to my madness.
I like it. I dig it. It's been dug. Milgaard's case gained momentum in part because of public pressure generated by continuous advocacy from his family.
So never stop fighting.
Yeah. Don't give up.
Let us know. Let us know. I'll share
Preach.
it. I'll share it.
Preach.
Send me an email.
We will.
What you got going on? I'll help you.
We will talk the shit up of
What
your
you
case.
got going on.
We will do it.
Kyle says when I do that, it's a black scent.
Really?
Yeah. What you got going on? So I'm trying to stop doing that. I'm just being honest with the listeners. Sorry if anybody's ever felt that. Just a little self-awareness. Like, anyway, back to the... I didn't know if I was going to share it because I sometimes do that and I'm trying to be like more aware of it. And I'm like, maybe it is.
I don't know. I never noticed it before, but...
Well, because Ariana Grande does it.
Oh.
And they call it a black scent when she does it.
Oh.
I'm like, so maybe I am. So maybe I should just be more aware and stop doing that. Okay.
Interesting.
Continuing on.
It was also brought to... there was also public pressure because of investigative journalism, most notably CBC's The Fifth Estate. Do you remember that show?
No.
I vaguely do. Because I was into this stuff even when I was like 9. Shifts in public attitudes towards policing and justice. Media exposure was critical in prompting federal officials to order a review of the case, ultimately sending it to the Supreme Court of Canada in 1992. And then art, especially through the Tragically Hip's Wheat Kings, played a unique role. It personalized the injustice. It reached Canadians who may not have followed the case in news or politics. And it reinforced the cultural memory of Milgaard's story long after the headlines faded. Wheat Kings demonstrated how music can influence public consciousness, supporting dialogues around reform and empathy for victims of wrongful convictions.
Love that.
Wrongful convictions impose lasting harm, not just on the individuals, but their families and communities. That's what I was saying earlier.
Yeah, totally.
For Milgaard, the cost included the loss of his youth, education, and early adulthood, which are very... forming years.
Yeah, formative,
You figure out who you are.
Yeah, and you experience a lot in all of that time interacting with other people.
That's so sad.
So sad.
Psychological trauma, including depression and suicide attempts. Stigma associated with being branded a murderer for over 2 decades.
Yeah.
And disconnection from society, requiring years of adjustment after release. For his family, the cost was years of advocacy, emotional strain, and financial hardship.
Yeah, because how do you work?
Right? And I'm sure she spent a lot of money on like lawyer fees as well, trying to, every time you try and bring the case forward to be like, hey, re-examine this, they're going to want to be paid.
Yeah,
so
exactly.
There was public criticism and skepticism, and watching a loved one deteriorate inside the justice system, and like that feeling of helplessness, not being able to help them.
Yeah. Because you can't break them out.
Especially when it's your kid.
Yeah. It's so sad.
Wrongful conviction also affects the families. In this case, Gail Miller's. There was a delayed justice. There was confusion and pain when convictions are re-examined, and renewed trauma when new evidence is emerging. Wheat Kings helps preserve the story longer than news cycles, ensuring that Milgaard's ordeal did not disappear from public memory. Storytelling through music, journalism, documentaries, or podcasts. They help society re-examine past injustices, hold institutions accountable, acknowledge the human cost of system failures, and encourages reforms such as calls for independent criminal case review commissions. Milgaard's case remains a teaching moment in Canadian legal history, highlighting how fragile truth can be, how easily systems can fail, and how essential it is for individuals, artists, journalists, and advocates to continue demanding justice.
Demand that justice, baby. And before we go on to Creep of the Week, I forgot to say that on my latest sound clip that I posted, it was like a throwback to the residential school series we did. And somebody commented on it on TikTok, and I wanted to share that. They said they sent every single Indigenous person alive in those days, whether we wanted to go or not. And if we didn't go, our parents were jailed, and we were adopted into a white family who finished off the erasure of our cultural ways. Yeah, it's just sad.
Go listen to that summer series, because it was a deep one.
Yeah. And okay, now we can do Creep of the Week.
Dun 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 dun. was kind of like an offbeat Stranger Things.
Dun, dun, dun. Okay. Today's creep of the week isn't the man whose name has carried the weight of a wrongful conviction for decades. This episode belongs to David Milgaard, the victim of a catastrophic failure of justice. Our creep of the week is the man who should have been caught, should have been stopped, and should have never been free to keep harming women across the prairies. Larry Fisher. Larry Earl Fisher, born in 1949, had a long history of violence against women. By the late 1960s and early 1970s, he was already responsible for a series of brutal sexual assaults in alleyways and isolated areas in Saskatchewan and Manitoba.
Gross.
In 1969, at the time of Gail Miller's murder on January 27th, Fisher was living in the basement of the same house where Miller boarded, just meters away from her front door.
So not even down the street like I expected?
Literally, yeah. This proximity, combined with his known pattern of sexual violence, makes it painfully clear how close the police were and how close the police were to the real offender and how catastrophically they missed him.
Do you have any idea how much that just enraged the shit out of me?
I'm sorry.
They didn't search the fucking pond.
No, they didn't search the pond and they didn't ask the guy downstairs. Fuck.
Oh my God.
They didn't even check with the downstairs neighbor.
So I know you usually do the creep of the weeks, so I don't ever read them so I can be surprised when you do. I'm learning all of this information the same time
Real
the
time.
listeners are. Yeah, real time.
So here are the consequences of that failure. As we know, while Fisher evaded detection, Gail Miller's killer walked free. David Milgaard was wrongfully convicted, and Fisher continued to assault women across the prairies.
I'm so mad.
Milgaard's youth was destroyed while Fisher moved from city to city, leaving behind more victims. In 1997, modern DNA testing finally uncovered what should have been discovered decades earlier. The biological evidence excluded Milgaard. It matched Larry Fisher. In 1999, Fisher was arrested and convicted of the first-degree murder of Gail Miller, confirming beyond doubt that Milgaard had been innocent from the start. So he didn't get convicted until 1999. Larry Fisher wasn't just a violent predator. He was the reason David lost 23 years of his life. He was the real threat hiding in plain sight while police pursued the wrong person. His actions created two victims, Gail Miller, whose life he ended and tortured before her life ended, and David Milgaard, whose life he derailed. Fisher's story is a chilling reminder that sometimes the scariest monsters aren't supernatural. They're the ones we fail to stop.
I wonder how many victims in total he had.
Are you going to Google that?
Yes.
That's a good idea. Yeah, I was more with the creep of the week putting a bow on it. Sorry, I don't mean to yawn into the microphone.
He died in prison.
Oh, good. When did he die?
2015.
Oh, so he was there a few years.
2015. Yeah, they're talking about David Milgaard in this. How many people?
We wouldn't know because they wouldn't have reported it even.
Yeah, they probably.
Even if they did report it, the cops were probably like, "You asked for it, you dirty broad. You were wearing a skirt."
I mean, this is the first article.
Did you like that one?
Dirty skirt.
You were wearing a skirt.
You were a hippie. You had it coming.
Yeah. You were hippies. You were hitchhiking, wearing skirts.
Wasn't that the same accent we had from last week?
Yeah, whatever. Well? I have one character.
It's not. Yeah, there's no definitive number that's coming up. Everything that is recent just says that he was a sex killer, serial rapist, and that he died at the age of 65. And
at least he died younger than David Milgaard died.
And he died peacefully behind bars. Fuck that shit.
Hate that.
Yeah, it just says that he died in June 9th, 2015.
Yuck.
Yeah, that's all it says.
Well, what an episode. Poor David Milgaard.
That was intense.
Fuck you, Larry Fisher.
Everybody else aside from Joyce and the hip.
Yeah. Exactly.
I mean,
that's pretty much where we're at. You can nominate a Creep of the Week by sending me an email. Just let me know who and why. Give me a link to something so I can look into that.
A little background.
We're not going to open it up to ex-boyfriends. I'm sorry about that.
Unless
they're criminally charged with something.
Yeah.
Then that's fine.
Yeah.
I mean, I'll take that. If there's a public record available, I will do that.
But if he's just a jerk, like
I can't.
most men.
Unfortunately.
Yeah.
I could start that kind of podcast. Let me know you're interested in that.
There's a thought.
Let me know you're interested in that. Send me an email to Canadian Creepies Podcast at gmail.com. You can follow me on Instagram, Canadian Creepies, or Radio Valerie. There's no Canadian Creepies TikTok yet or Facebook page. It's just Radio Valerie. You'll find me.
And you can also find me at Down the Crooked Path on TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, and YouTube.
Yeah.
All the things, all the places.
So keep it creepy, and we'll catch you next Thursday.
Creeping it real.
Thank you to Kyle McDonald for editing and composing our theme song.